Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Okay, imagine this scene. A really tight close-up, maybe bathed in this specific kind of light, and it tells you everything about what a character's feeling inside, without a single word being spoken.
Yeah, or maybe it's that blur of really fast images,
Yeah.
all cut together with this driving music, and it squeezes years of struggle, maybe triumph, into just a minute or so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel the force of that whole journey.
Yeah.
So what is it? What makes these moments in movies so powerful, so memorable? They stick with you long after the film's over.
And it's definitely more than just good actors or a great story. It's something really fundamental.
Right. It's like the core language of cinema itself.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're doing exhilarating deep dive into the world of montage. And when I say montage, I don't just mean, the quick training scene kind of
Yeah,
thing.
we're talking about it as the essence, the structure, maybe even the language film uses to communicate.
Our journey today is going to take us through a whole stack of different sources. We've got foundational theories from really influential film critics, groundbreaking directors.
And then we'll shift gears, looking through the pretty rigorous philosophical lens of deconstruction.
Yeah, we'll explore figures like Andre Bazin, who is so passionate about realism in film, and the revolutionary French Impressionists, Germain Dulac's pure cinema.
And John Epstein's concept of photogénie, that search for raw, kind of ineffable emotion.
And then we'll see how these complex, sometimes kind of abstract ideas, how they actually resonate and show up so vividly in the work of a modern master like Terrence Malick.
Alongside, of course, other really iconic film examples that have basically shaped how we all watch movies.
Our mission here, really, is to give you a genuine shortcut, a way to truly understand why certain film moments just stick with you.
Yeah, to dig into the surprising facts, the theories behind them.
And show how these, maybe complex-sounding ideas can actually unlock totally new levels of appreciation for the movies you watch, turn passive viewing into something more active, more engaged.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's unpack this deep dive into what truly makes a film speak to us, beyond just the story, right into the fabric of how it's made.
Sound good.
So let's start with the most common idea of montage. What pops into most people's heads first?
It's usually that training sequence, isn't it?
Totally. Rocky, shadow boxing, punching the meat in the freezer.
Rolling up the steps. Can't forget that.
It's a string of short, punchy shots, usually with some, rousing music.
Yeah, and it compresses maybe days, even weeks of hard work into just a few exciting minutes.
Or think about those newspaper sequences you see in older films, like Citizen Kane.
Oh, yeah, the headlines spinning onto the screen.
Right. They quickly show time passing, big plot points, how public opinion is changing.
Yeah.
All super fast.
So that's the common understanding, right? A quick sequence, cuts designed to condense space, time, information. Get a lot across very quickly.
Exactly. Economical storytelling.
Precisely. But here's where it gets interesting. The word montage actually means different things, deeper things, depending on where you are. The film tradition.
Like in French?
Yeah, in French, montage just means editing. Simple as that.
Okay, but that's a big difference, isn't it?
It really is, because it implies that every cut, every single choice an editor makes to join one shot to the next, that's montage.
So it broadens the whole idea way beyond just a specific type of scene.
Exactly. It suggests editing itself is the foundation, the basic construction of cinema.
That's crucial, because if the French just see montage as editing, then Soviet montage theory, with Sergei Eisenstein, that took it somewhere else entirely.
Oh, absolutely. Eisenstein wasn't just trying to compress time. His approach was much more deliberate, maybe even aggressive, you could say.
He wanted to create symbolism, real impact.
Yes. Through rapid, often really jarring cuts. Shot cutting. He believed that smashing two independent shots together could actually create a third, totally new meaning in the viewer's mind.
Wow.
And the classic example, the one everyone points to, is the Odessa Steps sequence from Battleship Potemkin, 1925.
Unforgettable scene.
Yeah.
The soldiers firing, the people running.
Right. And it's intercut with these incredibly tight close-ups, horrified faces, a fallen kid, and that famous shot, the baby carriage bouncing down the steps in slow motion.
It feels like those steps go on forever.
Exactly. He cuts between architectural details and faces, marching feet, and the stroller's wheels. It creates this visceral, almost unbearable feeling of chaos, injustice.
So it's not about showing one continuous event happening.
Not at all. It's about making you feel the terror, the brutality, the tragedy through the sheer force of how the shots collide. It's montage as a tool for, well, emotional and ideological manipulation.
And it wasn't just the Soviets playing with this. There was also the montage sequence in British and American studios, right? Like 30s to 50s.
Yeah, that was a really common technique then. Used to show a lot of time passing or complex events unfolding.
And they used effects, like fades and dissolves.
Lots of optical effects. Fades, dissolves, split screens, even double or triple exposure sometimes. All layered over with music.
So more stylized, maybe a bit dreamlike?
Often, yeah. Not necessarily aiming for that raw symbolism of Soviet montage, but more for a fluid suggestion of events, giving you that narrative sweep.
God.
And while Eisenstein is, the big name, others were already exploring dynamic editing. You have to mention Abel Gantz's Napoleon from 1927.
Huge film. Monumental.
And it used montage extensively, but the most famous part is that triptych finale. 3 separate reels projected side by side.
Created this massive panoramic image sometimes.
Right, or sometimes a really rich montage of separate, fast-cut shots across the 3 screens. It was revolutionary, totally immersive, overwhelming for the audience.
Incredible. And that inspired Eisenstein, you said. Showed him the potential.
Profoundly. It showed him the immense potential of montage for creating really grand, impactful stories.
And it wasn't just the big directors. They were actual montage specialists in the studios.
Oh, yeah, almost like departments. Slavko Vorkapich at MGM, for instance. He was famous for these vivid, really economical montages, showing Jeanette MacDonald's rise to fame in Maytime or the famine in The Good Earth.
All done super quickly, but powerfully.
Exactly. Images just cascading, packing an emotional punch with incredible efficiency.
And Don Siegel, he was at Warner Brothers.
Yeah, before he became a famous director himself. From 33 to 42, he ran their montage department, worked on hundreds of films, Casablanca, Yankee Doodle Dandy.
And he had a really rigorous approach, didn't he? Unlike some others.
Very meticulous. He felt montages were often done sloppily, directors just shooting random shots, editors grabbing stock footage, making what he called a mishmash.
So what did Siegel do differently?
He'd read the whole script, not just the one line describing the montage, really understand the story. Then he'd write his own 5-page script just for the montage sequence.
Wow, that's dedication.
He had a surprising amount of freedom, apparently, because, as he joked, nobody else could figure out what he was doing. He was constantly experimenting, even trying to match the montage style to the main director's style.
So even back then, seeing montage not just as a tool, but as an artistic choice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Capable of setting a specific tone and character for the film.
Okay, so against this backdrop montage, developing as this really powerful, versatile tool, we get the critic Andre Bazin.
Right. And Bazin had incredibly strong feelings about montage and about realism in film more broadly.
He made that distinction, didn't he? Between directors who trust the image and those who trust reality.
Exactly. Those directors who put their faith in the image and those who put their faith in reality, that's central to his whole philosophy.
So for him, film's real power was just revealing reality, showing the world as it is, without tricks.
Pretty much. And what's really fascinating is how he saw sound. A lot of silent film purists hated sound, thought it ruined the art.
But Bazin didn't.
No, he saw it as an enhancement. He thought sound actually helped film reveal more aspects of reality that silent film couldn't capture, especially for films where the whole point was what the image revealed of reality, not what it created apart from it.
So his ideal film would be, what? Defined by reality?
Defined by unmanipulated reality, yeah. Supported by things like natural sound, deep focus cinematography.
Where everything's in focus, foreground and background.
Right, letting the viewer choose where to look. And crucially, invisible editing. Cuts so smooth you barely notice them, letting the story flow like life.
So any obvious manipulation, anything drawing attention to the filmmaking itself, Bazin wasn't a fan.
He was deeply apprehensive about it. He disliked the creation of a sense or meaning, not proper to the images themselves, but derived entirely from their juxtaposition.
Meaning like Eisenstein's editing, or German Expressionism with its crazy sets.
Exactly. He saw those techniques as hindering film's ability to just reveal reality. They forced the viewer into a manipulated reality instead.
Okay, let's look at German Expressionism then. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Prime example for Bazin. He saw it as a film where montage and the plastic composition of the image are the very essence of cinema.
Meaning the look is the movie.
Totally. Wildly abstract, hand-painted sets, distorted angles, exaggerated makeup. Even the actors move in these weird, jerky ways that match the sets.
The whole atmosphere comes from the visuals?
Entirely. It creates this hallucinatory world of illusion where, as Bazin said, reality would be an invasion. It works because it's unreal, and that's precisely what Bazin found problematic in his search for cinematic truth.
And his view on Soviet montage, just as strong.
If not stronger. He famously criticized Eisenstein, especially the Potemkin staircase sequence, for creating that illusion of an endless staircase cutting between the stroller and those faces.
He saw it as manipulating the audience's emotions.
Deliberately manipulating them, yeah. Forcing a specific reading and destroying the reality of the actual space to push a message. For Bazin, that was just unacceptable manipulation. It stopped the viewer engaging with reality directly.
So who did Bazin like? Who are his champions of realism?
He loved directors like Erich von Stroheim. Bazin described Stroheim's philosophy as, take a close look at the world, keep on doing so, and in the end, it will lay bare for you all its cruelty and its ugliness.
Wow. Intense. Pure realism.
Unflinching. And he deeply appreciated neorealism, too. Called it a kind of humanism first and a style of filmmaking second. Focused on everyday human life.
Like in Umberto de Sica's film.
Oh, he adored Umberto D. He wrote about that scene, where the old maid just wakes up in the morning.
Yeah, what about it?
It's not rushed. It's broken down into these small, continuous moments just observing her. Bazin felt that meticulous, patient attention turned life itself into spectacle and visible poetry.
He liked the idea of a film where nothing happens.
He was fascinated by it. The idea of filming a man for 90 minutes where nothing happens. For him, true cinematic art was in that patient, unmanipulated observation, just letting the truth emerge.
Well, were there contradictions in Bazin's ideas? Critics point things out, right?
Oh, definitely. Paradoxes exist. Like, he praised F.W. Murnau for being interested in the reality of dramatic space.
Okay.
But then you have Murnau's Faust from 1926, which uses tons of suggestive montage for big dramatic effects. Remember the devil spreading his wings over the town, cut with images of suffering?
Right, that's pure montage creating the effect, not realism.
Exactly. It seems to contradict Bazin's own rules against that kind of manipulation.
And people have argued that a truly Bazin-esque film, one with zero manipulation, no plot, no signals, is that even possible or desirable?
It's a valid critique. That maybe it's contradictory to the very purpose of this art form's existence. You have to make choices, frame shots, cut scenes, compress time. It's inherent.
Even Umberto D., the film he loves so much.
Yeah.
It still guides your feelings, right? Like the dog begging with the hat.
Absolutely. That scene is clearly designed to make you feel sympathy for the old man and his dog. It's not purely neutral observation. It's subtly manipulating your emotions.
So what's the takeaway for us watching films? Even the most realistic ones aren't purely objective.
Pretty much. Even films striving for absolute reality still have the filmmaker's fingerprint on them. There's always a nudge, subtle or not, in how we're meant to feel or see things.
Every choice, framing, cutting, lighting, it's all a perspective.
Exactly. We're always experiencing a curated reality, even when it feels utterly real.
Which actually leads us nicely into a different way of thinking, one that really embraced subjectivity and emotion. The French Impressionist film movement.
Right. Back in the 1920s, this was a loose group, filmmakers, intellectuals, practitioners who were really championing cinema as its own distinct art form.
Partly reacting against Hollywood's growing dominance.
Partly, yeah. They were really focused on the formal capabilities of film, especially interested in certain visual aspects of the image, and crucially, what they called expressive movement.
And this brings us to Germaine Dulac and pure cinema.
Yes, Dulac, a pioneering filmmaker and theorist. She saw cinema as the seventh art, unique, full of innate personal expressivity.
So what did pure cinema mean for her?
She believed purely cinematic techniques should emphasize silently dramatic imagery and its compositional rhetoric. Basically, how the visuals themselves, framing, light, movement, arrangement, could persuade you emotionally without needing dialogue. Her focus was on the mobile characteristics of images to create emotional impact.
She thought cinema could, add feeling to facts using its own unique tools.
Precisely. Augment a fact by grafting a feeling onto it by means of a technique that is proper to it. For her, the image spoke through its silence, its changeability.
And she emphasized light, movement, rhythm.
Those were key. She argued that through editing, camera work, even the rhythm of performance, rhythm becomes the sole source of emotion, creating that direct, visceral connection.
And sometimes this pure cinema became almost abstract. No characters, just movement and light.
It could, yeah. But the goal was always subjectivity and emotionality, even through abstraction. Her film, La Coquille et le Clergyman de Seashell and The Clergyman from 1928 is a great example.
Abstract symbolist, weird narrative logic.
Totally. It's designed to show states of mind, preoccupations, thoughts, imaginings, purely through its impulsive visual mode, its editing rhythms, like a dream on screen.
Using distortions, dissolves, superimpositions.
All of that. To convey complex psychological states, Dulac really showed how pure cinema techniques could make internal emotions visible, tangible, without relying on normal storytelling. It's a cinema of inner landscapes.
Then there's Jean Epstein, another key Impressionist figure, and his idea of photogénie.
Photogénie, a really influential concept. Epstein defined it as a moment of intense effect or revelation created by the cinema's unique technological and formal capacity to transform our perception of the material world.
Okay, let's break that down. It's like a magical spark, something only cinema can create.
Kind of, yeah. It's when a simple shot, maybe a close-up, or the way the camera moves, suddenly makes an ordinary thing, an object, a face, a gesture, reveal some deep, unspoken emotion, a hidden truth.
Something you might miss in real life, but the camera catches it, enhances it.
Exactly. The film medium itself makes something more real, emotionally resonant, intensely present, often just for a split second. And Epstein connected it directly to movement. He said, only mobile aspects of the world, of things and souls, may have their moral value increased by filmic reproduction. Movement reveals truth.
And the close-up was key for him.
Absolutely. The maximum expression of this photogeny of movement. He thought close-ups revealed tiny facial details, physiognomic characteristics conveying interiority in the absence of words, capturing that moment before an expression fully forms.
Like his quote, even more beautiful than a laugh is the face preparing for it.
Precisely. That idea of a fleeting, pregnant moment, just seconds long, revealing deep emotion that's photogeny.
So it's like these expressive punctuation marks within the film's rhythm.
Yeah, measured in seconds, appearing as expressive punctuations embedded within rhythmic imagery, or temporary pauses situated within rhythmic editing and/or montages. These moments interrupt the flow, create this intense immediacy for the viewer, a direct emotional hit.
And for Impressionists, montage wasn't about creating intellectual ideas like the Soviets, but about feeling. Expressing character feelings through associations.
Exactly. It stimulates an associative quality, using shot relationships to express inner states. It's about feeling the character's experience.
You mentioned Kurfadel the Faithful Heart as an example.
Right, Epstein's 1923 film. That carousel sequence is incredible. Busy frames, blurring, super fast cuts, subjective shots. You feel totally disoriented, just like the characters.
It reflects Marie's anxiety through the visuals.
Perfectly. That disorienting imagery creates heightened subjectivity. It doesn't just show her anxiety, it makes you feel it.
And the ending, even though it's technically happy, still feels off.
Yeah.
Because of the photogeny.
Yeah. The mix of longer shots and Jean's dejected close-up creates this ambiguous but palpable, discernible photogeny. It reflects the emotional turmoil that lingers, going beyond just the plot resolution. It's about the feeling left behind.
So these Impressionist ideas really show film isn't just about story. It's about making you feel the story, immersing you in the character's emotional world purely through image, movement, rhythm.
Exactly. When a subtle glance or a shot of light on water seems to hold a whole world of feeling, that's photogeny in action.
Okay, let's jump forward now to a modern filmmaker whose work feels deeply connected to these Impressionist ideas. Terrence Malick.
Malick. Known for his philosophical, almost spiritual approach, his evolving filmmaking methods really do align incredibly well with French Impressionist theories.
How so? His use of montage.
Yeah, his montage consistently privileges character interiority. He's focused on showing inner emotional and psychological states, and he does it through cinematic movement and rhythms that create these really associative and personalized meanings for the viewer.
His style is so distinctive, isn't it? Non-linear stories.
Very non-linear, flowing more like memory, constant camera movement, that fluid, wandering Steadicam.
And the magic hour light, sunsets, sunrises.
That soft, golden, evocative light, and his elliptical editing.
Right, where he cuts out chunks of time or action.
Exactly, making the narrative feel fragmented, dreamlike, like memories. He trusts you to fill the gaps, creating a more subjective, impressionistic feel.
You see that clearly in Days of Heaven, right, from '78.
Oh yeah. The visuals shift between slow, sweeping shots and sudden, still close-ups. He uses natural light, expressive editing, fluid camera moves, creating these rhythmic visual associations that illustrate emotional sensations.
And the structure itself feels episodic, like
A
fragments.
very episodic transient, revealing momentary emotional qualities through this patchwork of impressionistic imagery. Dialogue is often minimal, replaced by that sparse poetic voiceover.
So how does Malick make silence and rhythm speak so loudly, like Dulac wanted? Create that visual symphony.
He lets the images and how they connect carry the emotional weight. In Days of Heaven, the slow pace can suddenly shift to really fast, kinetic editing like the bonfire sequence, pure chaos, rapid cuts mirroring intense emotional shifts or crises. He's constantly creating associations between juxtaposed images to show internal states, not just external events. You feel the character's inner world through the visual flow.
And then the thin red line in '98, his return after 20 years, that really leans into Impressionism too, even in a war film.
Absolutely. Lots of philosophical voiceovers, fragmented flashbacks, much more camera movement, prioritizing subjectivity and the greater human experience over just the combat story.
Like Private Wit's journey, starting in that paradise.
Exactly. It recalls Days of Heaven, emphasizing nature's placid rhythms. Then, when he's facing war, that brief flashback to his boyhood slow-motion close-up, it aligns with Epstein's idea of photogénie looking forward, offering escape, an ideal.
And his death scene, the non-causal editing, the final close-up.
A pivotal moment. It feels like transcendence. That privileged close-up, sunlight flashing back to swimming, finding peace amidst horror. Pure photogénie.
And Malick shares subjectivity, doesn't he? Blurs individual experiences.
Yeah, like Private Bell's flashbacks of his wife Marty, that magic hour light elliptical montage. It's a subjective, fragmented, photogenic memory collage, not literal recall.
And the overlapping voiceovers, close-ups of different characters, it feels like a shared consciousness.
Suggests a nexus of shared experience, yeah. As if their inner thoughts are connected.
And those fleeting close-ups, like Sergeant Keck with the grenade.
Incredible moments, so brief yet so dramatic. No words needed. Keck's reaction, Captain Snaros' silent decision. Words fall short. The intense inner struggle is purely visual, photogenic.
Lieutenant Colonel Tall's tearful close-up, too. That feels very Epstein-esque.
Totally embodies Epstein's idea of the close-up as the soul of cinema, revealing that complex ambivalence of inner turmoil and relief in just one look.
Then Malick really doubles down on this with a weightless trilogy, right? To the Wonder, Knight of Cups, Song to Song.
He pushes his impressionist strategies to a considerable degree there, even more nonlinear, episodic, feeling like a stream of consciousness.
Restless visuals, constant movement.
Very restless, wandering camera work. High frequency of cumulative movement simulates dramatic sensations. It mirrors the feeling of contemporary life, that sensory overload, the yearning.
And light becomes thematic, symbolizing yearning.
Yeah, not just pretty light. It often embodies that inner yearning for self-fulfillment, spiritual grace. Characters often gaze towards it, like Father Kikana Into the Wonder.
The fairground scene Into the Wonder sounds like Cœur Fidèle. The spinning machinery, kinetic editing, creating unease.
Exactly. Mirroring Marina's dizzying world, her emotional distress, just like the anemometer in Days of Heaven reflected the farmer's turmoil.
And in Knight of Cups, Rick's chaotic lifestyle and existential crisis, shown through vignettes, tarot cards.
Yeah, brief dreamlike scenes. His inner restlessness matches the film's anecdotal, tangential, meandering narrative. Lots of tracking shots, intensified continuity, always moving.
And close-ups reveal inner states, silent conflicts, realizations.
Like Rick and Nancy's silent fight, or Rick crying a clear signal of realization.
What about that moment with the wind turbines?
Ah, yes, the freedom section. Rick's close-up, turbines spinning behind him. His physical machinery and fast cutting provide movement, but his thoughtful look creates that photogenic tension between stillness and motion, signaling his new beginning, moving towards redemption, all silent.
Finally, Song to Song. Highly kinetic, fluid camera, discontinuous editing, capturing encounters in the music scene.
Capturing disparate encounters and experiential moments, yeah. The complex relationship between BV, Faye, and Cook is central. Cook's exploitative nature versus BV and Faye's journey through love, grief, forgiveness.
And Malick uses photogenic gestures instead of dialogue for their connection.
Definitely. Sharing an iPod, touching lips, Faye's expressions, subtle, intimate moments convey deep connection without words.
And here's where it gets really wild. He actually puts part of an old Impressionist film, Mental Montage, into Song to Song.
It's audacious. Dmitry Kirsanov's 1926 film, And it's not random. It directly connects to the violence in Rhonda's story within Song to Song, Her Suicide, draws a thematic line across decades.
Promoting that tension between stasis and change using montage.
Exactly, using intensified montage aesthetics. The film ends on forgiveness, transcendence, BV and Faye reunite, William Blake's poem. The chaotic pace eases. Sweeping camera moves, privileged close-ups suggest a new paradise, echoing that spiritual quest in Malick's work.
So Malick's films, seen this way, become experiences, not just stories. Dives into inner worlds, making you feel transformation, emotion.
Mirroring life itself, fragmented, beautiful, chaotic. You're not just watching, you're feeling moments, meditating.
Okay, so we've seen how filmmakers use montage, the debates around it, its artistic power. Now let's shift to a totally different tool for understanding films. Deconstruction. Especially useful now, with so much information coming at us.
Right. Deconstruction, coming mainly from post-structuralist philosophy, helps us interpret films by asking, what, how, and why does the movie tell?
It's less about finding one hidden meaning the director intended.
Much less. It's more about understanding the complex, often contradictory ways meaning gets constructed within the film itself. It emphasizes difference and the heterogeneous.
Jacques Derrida is the key figure here. He talked about phonocentrism or logocentrism.
Yeah, that's the traditional idea that spoken words are somehow superior to writing, more immediate, truer. Deconstruction challenges that phonetic metaphysics. Derrida famously said, there is nothing outside the text.
Meaning, you can only analyze what's in the film, not some imagined truth behind it.
Exactly. Meaning isn't some pure essence waiting to be found. It's generated within the system of signs, the language, the film's form itself. You analyze the choices made in the text.
Indifference.
With an A.
Derrida's invented word combines to differ, to be unlike, and to defer, to postpone. It's a refusal of the idea that meaning is fixed and fully present here and now.
Meaning is always shifting, put off.
Always deferred, yeah. Always pointing to other meanings, never reaching a final point, and always different because it relies on contrast with other signs that aren't present.
Can you give an example? How does that feel when watching something?
Think about a word like bank, riverbank, money bank. The meaning isn't fixed until there's context, and even that context points elsewhere. Difference captures that meaning is always different from what you grasp because it relates to absent things and it's always deferred, never fully complete or present, like a horizon you chase but never reach. A film's meaning evolves as you evolve, as context changes.
Got it. And reversal displacement, the cross-out idea. Derrida used the analogy of writing on a chalkboard, then drawing a cross through the word but not erasing it. The word's still there, but marked as problematic under erasure.
So it undermines the idea that the word has a fixed, solid meaning, shows it's constructed.
Exactly. It reveals meaning isn't just found, it's built, often precariously.
So applying deconstruction to film.
Yeah.
We look for contradictions within the film itself, how it constructs meaning.
Yes. Reconstructing the film in which the film writes its own text, changes it, combines the codes, and uses some codes against the other. Analyzing how it tells its story, not just what, and finding where its own logic might break down or contradict itself.
And it challenges those basic oppositions, male-female, hero-villain.
Systematically challenges those binary hierarchies. It opposes the interpretation itself by revealing limitations, hidden biases, even ones the filmmakers didn't intend.
Like a film might praise a hero, but the visuals subtly undermine him.
Precisely. Low angles when vulnerable, shadows during triumph, creating a contradictory effect. Deconstruction looks for those clashes.
So instead of one hidden meaning, deconstruction looks at the whole process of making meaning, finding the gaps, the contradictions.
Exactly. Like psychoanalysis, looking for missing points, unspoken things, seeing where a film gets tangled in its own logic, where the stated message clashes with the visual message.
Ryan and Kellner made a distinction between metaphor and metonymy in film ideology.
Right. Metaphor, they argued, is often ideological, referring to some ideal, universal meaning outside context, like an eagle just meaning freedom, abstract.
And metonymy.
That's more realistic, concrete, associating a part with a whole, connecting it to its specific context. So the eagle isn't just freedom, it's connected to its nest, its forest, maybe its endangered status, more grounded.
And deconstruction looks for where the film contradicts itself, reveals hidden ideology.
Yeah, drawing attention to symptomatic points or semantic deadlocks, moments where the logic gets tangled, or a detail unintentionally reveals something hidden, maybe even from the creators.
Which means no single interpretation is definitively right. A film is full of contradictions.
Exactly. None of the numerous meanings will reflect the film as a whole. No definitively valid interpretation. A film isn't harmonious. It's full of persistent contradictions between different kinds of meanings.
And it's always in dialogue with other texts, other cultural stuff.
Always. A product of relations with other literary and non-literary texts or discourses.
So it challenges us to think not just what does it say, but what does it do? How does its construction reveal hidden motives, maybe even unconscious ones?
That's the core of it, seeing how the film might accidentally tell on itself, exposing its own internal tensions beneath the surface story.
Okay, so after all that theory montage, realism, impressionism, deconstruction, let's see how it plays out in practice with some iconic, innovative examples. Montage really is, as one source said, what sets film apart as a medium.
It truly is its unique pulse. And one of the most powerful examples ever has to be The Godfather, the baptism scene.
Oh, unforgettable, chilling.
Masterclass in parallel editing. The sacred church vows cut against Michael Corleone's brutal killings across the city.
Do you reject Satan? Yes. Gunshot. It's incredible.
Creates this profound, disturbing commentary on Michael, faith, violence, purely through the montage. No explanation needed.
And Christopher Nolan, more recently, he really revitalized the montage, didn't he? Made it more than just the training sequence.
He brought legitimacy back, yeah.
Yeah.
Evolved it. Like the Batman Begins training montage. It's not just filler. It's placed mid-act one, giving exposition, backstory, and the beginnings of his entire character arc.
And uses them for prologues, too. Emotional catharsis.
Often, yeah. Setting mood, externalizing internal shifts through rapid imagery. Very effective. And then you have films that are entirely montage.
Like Man with a Movie Camera, Vertov's film.
Right, from 1929.
And Godfrey Riggio's Koyaanisqatsi from '82. They're the epitome of montage.
Just visual symphony.
Exactly. Man with a Movie Camera is this dazzling tapestry of city life, incredibly dynamic editing. Koyaanisqatsi with its time-lapse, slow-mo, Philip Glass score. A profound meditation on the modern world, purely through images. Wordless critique and observation. So many other great ones, too. Requiem for a Dream, those addiction montages.
Legendary and completely innovative. Visceral, rapid-fire cuts. Intense sound. You feel the destructive cycle. Deeply unsettling.
And the opening of Up, just wow.
Iconic. Tragic. 4 minutes showing Carl and Ellie's whole life together, dreams, joy, loss. An emotional gut punch that sets up the whole film. Masterful brevity.
The sequence in Parasite. The tuberculosis plan.
Traumatic and well done, yeah. Razor-sharp editing, great voiceover, conveying their cunning plan and the shifting dynamics so quickly.
The travel montage in Mindhunter Season 1 felt really fresh, too.
It did. Razor-sharp editing again. Perfect music sync, capturing the mood and monotony of those FBI agents traveling. Unique tone.
What else? The Martian, cutting out the boring bits.
Yeah, cuts the fast forwards through necessary but less dramatic survival steps. Keeps it engaging.
Starface showing Tony's rise.
Classic example of showing the rise to power efficiently.
Yeah.
Wealth, violence, all condensed.
And Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, cinematic and sweeping. Beautifully shot, scored, creating that profound sense of deep tragedy as the Jedi fall. Really effective large-scale montage. And we should loop back to the training montage itself, because it is such a cultural thing now.
Started a standard explanation, now often a cliche.
Pretty much, yeah, from overuse. The conventions are so clear.
Go break.
Hero fails, trains hard, shortcuts, inspirational rock song.
Robert Tepper, Stan Bush, Survivor. Gotta have the right soundtrack.
Right, and suddenly, boom, hero's ready, transformed, accelerated time.
Makes you want to go lift weights, doesn't it? Pure cinematic motivation.
Totally. But even as a cliche, its impact is huge. Think of the parodies in South Park or Team America. It's a cultural touchstone everyone recognizes.
So, from Bazin's debates on realism, through the emotions of Impressionism and Malick's fragmented visions, to the challenges of deconstruction, montage is so much more than just cutting shots together.
It's this profound, complex language filmmakers use to communicate, manipulate, provoke, invite us into deeper understanding of reality, emotion, ourselves.
It really is what makes film uniquely powerful.
Which brings up a question for you, listening. When you watch your next movie, how will understanding montage, from the simple cut to the complex theory, the subtle rhythm to the jarring clash, how will it change what you notice?
Yeah, what new emotional connections might you feel? What new aha moments about the craft might pop up?
Think about it. Just capturing reality on film that's already tampering with it, isn't it? Every cut, every close-up, every lighting choice is a perspective, an interpretation.
So next time you're lost in a film, remember, you're not just watching a story. You're experiencing this meticulously crafted dance of images, designed to tell you something, sure, but also to provoke, reveal, and maybe even transform how you see the world, one fleeting, powerful image at a time.